Hello and welcome to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Guys, it has happened again. Mitch McConnell, the Kentucky from senator, the minority leader of the Senate, froze yet again. It appears as though he was giving a press conference, and it's really uncomfortable. He must have frozen for about 30 seconds. Why on earth is this man still in office? I have no idea. But it has become extremely apparent that it is time for Mitch McConnell to resign. I mean, we could say the same about Joe Biden. We'll be talking about that. But have these guys essentially aged out of their public offices? This is something that I have not delved into before. I kind of left it alone. But I think it's really important that we talk about that. And perhaps there do need to be some parameters set with some of these aging politicians in Washington, D.C. That and more on this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. Listen, today's show is brought to you by MyPillow.com. Mike Lindell has a fabulous company in MyPillow. Right now, he's got a deal, 50% off of the Giza Dream Sheets. If you use my name and the promo code, just CARL, click on at the top of the page, the radio podcast square, or give them a call at 800-858-0263. But not just the Giza Dream Sheets. There are deep discounts available all over MyPillow if you use my name, Carl. I mean, from towels to bed sheets to mattress toppers to pet beds, you name it, deep discounts available right now. If you take advantage of the offer, MyPillow.com, promo code Carl, or give them a call, 800-858-0263. American jobs, American manufacturing, and a good night's rest. And you're supporting a patriot in Mike Lindell. All right, so a couple of things happened. One thing happened yesterday, which we'll go over. Biden was with the Costa Rican president, and he froze up. He froze up one time towards the end of that little conference, if you will, or meeting with the Costa Rican president. We'll play that for you as well. But also, he got some language mixed up. And, you know, there's been this argument out there that, you know, maybe we need to put an age limit on some of these politicians in Washington, D.C. Now, I'm straight up. I'll just tell you straight up. I'm not for term limits. I'm not necessarily for age limits, but here's what I'm starting to be for. I think that I can get on board with. And I do think there needs to be cognitive tests once these guys hit a certain age, or if they have a catastrophic event of some sort, and then they have to come back, return to Washington, D.C. In Congress. Whether it's a nasty fall of some sort, maybe a car accident, anything that could trigger an early onset of, of ailment of any sort, mental or that would cause a person to age perhaps more quickly prior than they would have done before. Tragic event or fall or something like that. This may be the case with Mitch McConnell. I don't know for sure, but we know that he's had a couple of nasty falls this year. And I don't know if that's connected to it, if that's correlation, causation. I don't know. But there's obviously something wrong with him. Hat tip CNS News, 77% of U.S. adults say Biden's too old for a second term as well. 41% describe him using words like outdated, senile, confused, and bumbling. But perhaps we need to do the same on the Republican side. I want you to watch this video. It's very uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie to you. It's weird. It's weird. When I go to click on these things, I don't like to see people suffering. I don't like to see people suffering. I don't like to see animals suffering. I am wimpy when it comes to that type of stuff. I just don't like to see it. So even before I clicked on it, I was like, yes, I'm that wimpy. I don't like to see people suffering. But this guy is a public figure. He's in office. It's something that you need to see, something that you might want to see. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page and our Rumble page so you can check out the video, The Carl Jackson Show. Wherever you go to get your podcast, please subscribe to The Carl Jackson Show. All things social media at The Carl Jackson Show, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Truth Social, you name it. But I hope you will tune in and watch this video of Senator Mitch McConnell. He appears to freeze again. And frankly, I don't know what the heck his staff is doing. This guy, people shouldn't leave this guy's side at this point. It's time for him to call it quits. But here we go. Let's roll the video, Gabe, por favor.
3 short years. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing you.
That's okay. What are your thoughts on running for re-election in 2026?
What are my thoughts?
Guy asked him, what are his thoughts on running for re-election? Oh, like he gets it. Then he just freezes. There he goes again.
Did you hear the question?
And his mouth.
For re-election in 2026.
His mouth.
All right, I'm sorry.
Tightens.
We're gonna need a minute.
It's all, his aide comes to his rescue. It's almost like his eyes semi roll back. You can see something happens there. It's weird.
Come with us.
All right. He's trying to get.
Okay.
He gathers himself, just like the first
Somebody
time.
else have a question?
Weird.
Please speak up.
All right. It's very uncomfortable. It looks even worse than the first time around. I don't even know why they kept him indoors. I mean, or in the building. It's like, okay, let's pack it up. Let's go right to the doctor's office. It is that time. So again, I'm one of these absolutists. Well, I am pretty much an absolutist when it comes to this idea of term limits. I don't like them. I don't like this idea of term limits. I believe that people should be involved in our democratic republic process. I believe that it is a country of, for, and by we the people. We need to be informed. We need to be engaged in our political processes. And so we need to be the ones to vote these people out. But having seen this, we have so many elderly people now. And again, I was trying to stay out of the fray when it came to this. Everybody was talking about it. And frankly, there's a lot of older people that are wise, that are not as far gone as a Mitch McConnell or Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden is even worse off. At least it appears that when Mitch McConnell is there, he's there. Joe Biden, oftentimes, it doesn't seem like anyone is home, which I'll show you in just a second, because he has done it once again. I mean, he froze, and not only that, he just tripped up on words. The guy does not seem to know what he's talking about, and we'll get into that in just a second. But I'd love to know what you think. Maybe leave us some comments, because I am convinced that it is time to get a cognitive test done. I don't know what the age should be. I don't know if 65, 70, 72, 65 seems a little young, frankly. But maybe 70, 72, you start getting cognitive tests done. And if there's some type of tragic event that you have where you're injured in some way, shape, or form, head injury, fall, something like that, I think you should have a cognitive test done. And the more I think about it, 65 just seems too young, unless there is some type of event that happens, accident or that occurs or what have you. But these guys, when they're at this point, it's time to call it quits. Why won't they call it quits, though? I was checking out, some of the benefits packages. I mean, these guys have you can eat, your food is there. Your barber shop is there. I mean, in Congress, these guys don't have to go anywhere for anything. They get perks on flights, obviously, because of their schedule, having to fly in and take votes, perks on the parking at the airport, all of those things. And I don't begrudge them of the airport perks, but frankly, I don't think they should be traveling as much, going back and forth to Washington, when they can figure out, in my opinion, a way to make secure votes away from Washington. Doesn't make sense to me, or at least travel there a little less. But they make what were their salaries? Let me look at this real quick. I'm sorry, I pulled this stuff up, and I don't know why, for the life of me, when I'm talking to you about it, I pull away from it. But you have the House Speaker makes $223,000, $500. The majority and minority leaders earn $193. And the President Pro Tem does as well. They enjoy free health care. I think they enjoy free health care. I read somewhere that they, it's like 70% or something of their health care is covered, but they get the best of the absolute best. But here it says this is according to Forbes, they get totally free health care, and they don't get the typical Obamacare. I mean, they get the best of the best. but all of the perks, not to mention their salaries, their accolades, insider trading, you name it. These guys get a lot of cool perks. And I think that's the reason why they don't want to leave this place. I mean, they're everything. You go to Washington, D.C., and you're the brightest of the brightest, right? You're the smartest of the smartest. Why? Because everyone tells you so. But you get paid. There's a lot of insider trading that goes on. Let's be honest. Insider trading on both the Democrat side and the Republican side. More so, I believe, on the Democrat side when you see people like Nancy Pelosi that became so wealthy. Joe Biden, the same, although he used his family, his son to enrich himself. But this is what happens. But here's Joe Biden. Again, the guy is just not there. And people are starting to wonder, what was it that he was talking about in this specific this was from RNC Research, and he had met with Costa Rican President Rodrigo Chavez Robles that day, and he had stumbled over some pre-written cards, a note card. He was sitting there reading it. You could see the president of Costa Rica literally like tapping his, you kind of like doing that nervous tap, like, come on, man, like speed it up. Or like, this is crazy. This is insane. But, basically playing along. But another thing that Biden did during that meeting, he was talking about cheaper drugs, cheaper pharmaceuticals, basically. And he said, and I quote, a drug company that makes a drug here in America, if it's sold in Chicago, you can buy the same drug in Toronto or Paris cheaper than you can buy it in Toronto. The drug is made in the U.S. If it's sold in Chicago, you can buy it in Toronto. These are the things that are very difficult for him to say. And that's even when he has a teleprompter and a note card. But watch this video, and then we'll play another video for you where he freezes as well. Here's Joe Biden.
A drug company that makes a drug here in America, if it's sold in Chicago, you can buy the same drug in Toronto or Paris cheaper than you can buy it in Toronto. In Chicago.
Yeah. The guy's gone. There's not a whole lot going on upstairs, and we know it. We're being gaslit. Well, we're not being gaslit. But they're trying to gaslight America. The White House and the administration are. But have people had enough? Here's another video. This is sometime during that meeting with the president of Costa Rica, and he was being asked questions at the time. And if you watch the video, he kind of does the same thing. He goes into this. It's not like Mitch McConnell. Like Mitch McConnell, his bottom mouth when he's frozen the last couple of times. What I've noticed from Mitch McConnell is the bottom of his mouth just like kind of grips. And that's why I wonder. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but I'm like, my first instinct was, oh my God, is this guy having a stroke? Because it like clams up. It's not so obvious, but it is obvious if you just pay attention to his bottom jaw, and then his eyes kind of roll. It gets pretty scary. What Biden does is when he's not there, it's literally like you can see through his eyes. You can see like it's empty. He freezes. He just freezes. So he has a bunch of reporters asking him questions, and he just freezes. It's like it's a blank stare. And it's not a blank stare like, come on, man, silly question. Or it's like he's just lost. He's lost in time. Here's the video. Here's the video. He's staring back and forth.
Mr. President.
Tons of questions.
Mr. President.
It's almost as if he does not know where he's at. He's just looking around.
Mr. President.
Weird. Wow. A press room full of people asking him questions. He's just kind of gazing back. And he's blank. You can tell he's blank. It's like he doesn't know what's going on. This guy's the leader of the free world. You don't think other nations are seeing it? Now, let me bring your attention just quickly back to some of these poll numbers. This was from CNS News. 77% again of U.S. adults say Biden's too old for a second term. So, obviously Democrats will be concerned about that. 41% describe him using words like outdated, senile, confused, and bumbling. So more than 3/4 of the U.S. adults think Joe Biden is too old to serve another term. This, according to the AP Center for Public Affairs poll, asked if Biden is too old to effectively serve another four-term president, a 4-year term as president. 77% said that he was. Even 2/3 of Democrats, 69%, think Biden is too old. But listen to this. Listen to this. This is where I think Republicans get it wrong, because we read stuff like this and we're like, oh my God, they will throw this guy under the bus real quick. I think they will throw Biden under the bus, but I think it's just because he's corrupt. He is senile. They're looking at all this stuff and they're like, can he really win in 2024 when we've been trying to destroy Trump and his poll numbers are still higher than Joe Biden's? And listen, I'll be frank, the poll numbers aren't anything to brag about. I feel like we should be 20 points ahead. Anybody should be 20 points ahead of Joe Biden, not just 3 or 4 points, but it is what it is. Assuming that you trust the polls, I don't completely trust them. So that gives me a little bit of, kind of okay. Maybe it's, maybe we'll be okay. But anyway, but listen to this. 82% of all Democrats say they'd still support his reelection. 77% thinks he's too old, or at least 69%, I'm sorry, Democrats thinks he's too old. But 82% of them will say if he's the nominee, they'll vote for him. That's all you need to know. Democrats have a system. They have goodies. They give out free goodies to their constituents. It's amazing. Ask what is the first word or phrase that comes to mind when you think of Biden. 26% of U.S. adults use terms that describe Biden as being too old. And a similar word association question asked by AP NORC in February 2020, 16% use words like old, also past their prime, retire, obsolete, grandpa, or ma. In the last survey, 41% of adults cite either Biden's advanced age or types of diminished capacity that could be attributed to advanced age as the first thing that comes to mind about him. So 26% old, outdated, retire, elderly, aging, senile, dementia. 15% use words like slow, confused, idiot, ignorant, sleepy, gaff, bumbling. 13% general negativity. Use bad, terrible, disappointing, joke, profanity, or profanity. 6% corrupt, criminal, crooked, comprised, traitor, con, artist, puppet. Wow. One Republican said the word potato came to mind when he thinks of Biden, while a Democrat who approves of Biden's job performance said senile pops into his head. I wonder which Democrat that was. Biden did become the oldest president ever to serve when he was inaugurated in January 2021. If he wins a second term, he would be 86 years old at the end of his presidency. So again, at the end of his second term. So again, my conclusion is that it is time to get these guys tested. There needs to be cognitive tests. I know Trump was willing to take a cognitive test. It's different. I think Trump is 77 or 78 years old, but he is a much younger 78 years old, certainly than Biden was. I think Biden has a year or two on him. But this guy is he's simply not there. Simply not there. All right. So I wanted to look at some of these perks, get more specific, but unfortunately, the one that I'm looking at will not pop up all of these. Okay, so here it is. Some lawmakers receive more, including the current salary for most lawmakers is $174,000. It would be closer to $210,900 had Congress received pay raises annually since 2009, according to data from the Congressional Research Service. Speaker of the House, again, $223,500. President pro tempore of the Senate, $193,400. House Majority Leader, $193,400. House Minority Leaders as well, $193,400 is what they receive. In addition to six-figure salaries, being elected to office comes with a number of perks. Retirement, lawmakers have access to both 401k style plans and pensions. The thrift savings plans is a tax-deferred investment similar to The 401k plan, lawmakers can take a full pension at the age of 62 if they served at least 5 years. A full pension at age 62 if they've served at least 5 years. Wow. Wow. Gabe, would you like that? That would be really, really nice. Wow. And even sooner if they have served longer. Age 50 for those who have completed 20 years and any age after 25 years. Amounts vary based on the time served and salary, but may not exceed 80% of their final salary, according to Senator Rick Scott and Mike Braun. Now, this article is a few years old. Who has served for 33 years, he would be eligible for a funded pension worth more than $102,000, or who is that? Nancy Pelosi would have been available for a pension of $102,000 if she retired. This was back in 2019. All members pay into Social Security. Surviving spouses and a family of a lawmaker who has died will receive a full year's worth of salary. If they do die, according to the Office of Personnel Management, federal employees enjoy the widest selection of health plans in the country. Certain eligible members can receive health insurance over the course of a lifetime under the Federal Employees Health Benefits Program. Wow. The members' representative allowance can be used by representatives for official expenses like staff, travel, mail, office equipment, district office, rental, stationery, and office supplies. As of 2017, the allowance for personnel was $944,000, so basically $1 million. For senators, the average allowance for official personnel and office expense account was nearly $3.5 million. What if they don't need to use it all? What happens? You can give it back. The Treasury wouldn't know what to do with it. We had a Congressman, Daniel Webster, do just that. Each senator is authorized home state office space in federal buildings, as well as furniture in Washington, D.C. and state offices. So they get furniture. Lawmakers also get free reserve parking, D.C. area airports, while they can reserve seats on multiple flights, only having to pay for one, according to Bloomberg. All right, so anyway, they get a lot of perks, and that's not including the food, the barber shops, the gym, all that kind of stuff that they get right at the Capitol. All right, so anyway, that's why these people don't want to go anywhere. They live the best lives ever. They live like kings and queens when they go to Washington, D.C. And so they will die there if we let them. And we just can't. I don't want to put an age limit there because people age differently. But there needs to be cognitive tests. Voters need to be well aware of those cognitive tests and the findings of those tests so that they can make an informed decision during election time. All right, guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Again, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. We would certainly appreciate that. And until next time, don't grow weary doing good. God bless you.